All right, so we had yet another very impressive first preseason game from a rookie. We just had Ace Bailey last night go up against the Houston Rockets, and he put up 25 points on 11 for 16 shooting from the floor, along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. This was an amazing game, and I feel like people were always pretty mixed about how they felt about Ace Bailey as a player, but he did such a great job in last night's game with setting a tone in his first look at real NBA action. And obviously a lot of talk this offseason has been about Bailey and his status with the Utah Jazz and whether or not this was the best spot for him. But what I will say is this: Utah may not have been his most ideal spot up front, but there are a lot of benefits to him being here. And one of those biggest benefits is the coaching. Will Hardy may not be the most winningest coach in the NBA. He has never led a team to the playoffs, but he is still one of the most creative minds in the entire league. And I think Bailey is going to have a field day with finding different ways to score and be effective on offense within Hardy's system. And we saw flashes of that in this first preseason game. Let's start and focus with his off-ball play on the offensive side of the basketball. I loved this first play that started the game off and got Utah on the board. We have Nurkic setting a down screen for Bailey, and Bailey moves into a bit of an Iverson cut here. And if you watch Jabari Smith, there's some solid coverage off of that initial screen. So Nurkic turns and rescreens Bailey, and amazing work by Bailey to slightly fake left to use Smith's momentum going against him, and then he gets a catch off the curl and goes right into a pull-up mid-range jumper at the top of the key. This is also great IQ and recognition by Bailey to pull up immediately after seeing Şengün dropping back on defense. Here's another play that I love that once again illustrates Bailey's ability to play off the ball. Here we see him set a bit of a down screen for Nurkic, who sets up an on-ball screen, and it looks like Utah setting up here for some classic Spain action, but some bad defensive communication by Jabari Smith and Alperen Şengün on the Spain action leaves Bailey alone for a cut to the rim, and this is a great find by Nurkic down to Ace Bailey, who finishes with one of his easiest baskets of the night. Here is another action I really liked. Bailey starts at the slot, then cuts through a stagger screen between Mikhailuk and Yusuf Nurkic, and here Bailey does a great job at getting his body squared away for the shot, and even though he doesn't make the initial one, he stays in the play and knocks down the mid-range bucket off of the offensive rebound. So great job staying resilient here after doing some great off-ball movement and setting up some really good shots in this possession. This is a bit of a callback to an earlier play and speaks once again to Bailey's ability to make things happen without the ball in his hands. Utah is in a horn set, and Bailey does an awesome job at selling this baseline cut to get Jabari Smith off balance. Then he pops right back out to the wing and pulls up for a difficult contested jumper over the long arms of Smith. One thing you're noticing is that Ace Bailey was having a field day on Jabari Smith's defense for a good amount of the night. Check this play out. Here we have Bailey coming off of another Nurkic screen, and he just does another great job at getting Smith off balance to open things up. Watch now how he reads Şengün. There's a certain patience to Bailey as he freezes Şengün in this 2-on-1, then finds a perfect angle to whip this pass over to Nurkic for a layup. Amazing work here, working this side pick and roll. There were 2 amazing plays that he made off the ball defensively in this game as well that I was a massive fan of. So here, Houston is working some off-ball action to try to get Durant a look. Şengün feeds Smith and turns to set an off-ball screen for Durant to curl around for his signature jumper. Now, shooting the gap can be hit or miss on defense, but this time Bailey positions himself and times it perfectly to get in the lane and steal this lazy pass by Smith and get coast to coast for a wide open dunk. Check this one out. Durant is initiating the Rockets offense here and sets up a screen and roll with Şengün. Nurkic is up to touch on Durant, so that leaves Ace Bailey with the responsibility of tagging Şengün on the roll. He does an immaculate job at that, stripping the ball away in the lane and setting up yet another wide open coast to coast finish. That's 3 baskets in this video I've talked about that came so easy to Bailey because of his ability to make reads off the ball on both defense and offense. Long story short, I was extremely impressed, as was most of the basketball world. If you felt a little passive about Ace Bailey because of maybe his tendency to fall into being a volume shooter, this game should leave you with a lot of hope. Will Hardy did an amazing job at getting him into different actions and asking him to do a ton of different things, and I think that could lead to a very, very strong rookie year with Bailey existing in this high motion offense that uses him moving off the ball at a high level.